Hello once again, I'm Craig Andrus. Thanks for watching Call the Mayor Wichita. It's your chance to call the mayor and ask any question you want. It's not the mayor today. We do have a guest with us. That is Cindy Claycomb. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Glad you're here. Look, we've got a lot of things that we can talk about today. You are District 6. Now that runs through the Delano area. I know a lot of people already know that, but tell us your district, the outlying areas. Where do you cover?
Yeah, so District 6 is Washington west to I-235 or the Big Ditch.
235.
That's right. And Douglas all the way north to the city limits, so out to Valley Center. And then I pick up out around the zoo, I pick up a little appendage of some neighborhoods out there, Barefoot Bay, Emerald Bay, Harbor Isle.
I will admit it's been some time since I've looked at a map of the districts. That seems like a huge district.
Yes, well, you know, each of us represents 68,000 people.
Yes.
And so when you look at it geographically, that's what it takes to get 68,000 people in my district.
Okay, so out of all the time that you've been doing this so far, what's the most common theme you found from the people, all 68,000? Is there a common theme that you found?
Oh, you know, I think people call a lot about streets, and during the summer they call about tall weeds.
Weeds.
So, yeah. So.
I know there's a mowing schedule for the city, so be patient out there.
Right.
Look, if you want to ask about the weeds or anything, you can call us 316-491-5787. That's the number. You can catch us on Facebook, so we'd be happy to take your Facebook questions as well. I know there are a couple of things we'd like to talk about to start, and one of those is, you know, Evergreen Rec Center. There's something really, really cool there, and I wanted to go ahead and show it if we can. What's going on out there?
Yeah, so Evergreen has a fairly new mural.
Yes.
And there it is.
Yes.
There it is, and it is fantastic. We had 2 Colombian artists that were traveling around the United States, and they had a week where they were down, and so they decided, hey, let's go to Wichita and see if they'll let us paint a mural.
And you said yes.
We said yes. And then we had all kinds of people step in to donate, you know, a place for them to stay, the paint, those kinds of things, but the artist didn't charge us a dime. And so we got this beautiful mural of an Aztec god. And if you've been to the Evergreen area, you can see that it really fits with that the whole kind of motif of that park.
I was just going to ask, is that the theme in the area? And if I'm remembering correctly, it really does fit well with the rest of the park out there.
Yes, it does.
So let me get this straight. So you've got these guys. They're doing it for free.
Right.
And people donated to put them up and donate the paint.
Right.
So that sounds very Wichita to me.
It does. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
I love the vibrant colors in this one. So
Yeah.
it does fit in quite well. Now, maybe I missed it, but did you say how did we stumble upon these people to do this?
So Armando Menares is with the Horizontes project here,
Yes.
and they were friends with him. They knew him through the artist community, and they contacted Armando and said, you know, hey, we're going to come to Wichita, and can you find a place for us to paint?
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is really nice. All right, so call the mayor Wichita, not the mayor, but you get District 6, Cindy Claycomb. 316-491 is the number, 5787. Any question you want to ask, really. I even asked her if she'd talk about roads. She said yes.
I can do that.
So that's a plus. Another kind of cool thing is the Canine Dog Park. Now, tell me about that.
Yeah, so the Canine Dog Park is over in the Benjamin Hills area, Twin Lakes area, and it's a dog park that we've created and enhanced over the years. And Rooster, the canine that it's named after, Rooster was injured and then died during a police incident, and the park's named after Rooster. So it's pretty cool.
It seems kind of nice. I know there are a lot of media stories about roosters, so and we do have some commentary on this. Let's have a listen to that.
Canine Rooster Dog Park, located at 2127 North Meridian, is popular among dog owners. Constructed in 2011 and recently updated, this is one of Wichita's 4 dog parks. It features 3 off-leash enclosures. It also has drinking fountains, benches, waste removal stations, timeout areas, and on-site parking. On June 13, 2017, the Wichita City Council passed a motion to authorize the naming of Meridian Dog Park, stating the park is to be renamed Canine Rooster Dog Park to commemorate fallen officer Canine Rooster. This dog park is a great place to bring your pooch any day of the week, between 6 a.m. and midnight. Show your pup a special time at Canine Rooster Dog Park today.
Okay, so that's very cool. Rooster looks a lot larger than I remembered it.
Yeah,
so.
it's a pretty big park. I don't know how many acres it is, but when you go out there, it's a pretty big park. And they have different areas, for large dogs, smaller dogs, and then they have areas where they can shut off and let the grass kind of rejuvenate, and then open those up. So you have that way of transitioning that.
They mentioned a timeout. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I think when dogs need a timeout and they maybe are misbehaving a little bit.
If you're a dog owner, yes, you know what that
yeah,
means.
That's right.
Well, 316-491-5787. That's the number. We'd be happy to take your calls. We do have a caller. Matt, you are on the show. You have a question about trash. If you're still there, Matt, go ahead. Okay, well, Matt, call back if you want. Yeah. But our screeners did say Matt had a question about trash under some of the bridges. Do we have city regulations to spend money to clean some of that up, or I don't know? Right,
yeah, so our Public Works area group and our Parks Department both do cleanup on trash. If there is an area that's gotten particularly bad, they can do that if it's on public property, if it's on the city's property. So we'll come out and clean that up. People need to report them. And one of our great tools is Access Wichita, and it is a website, and you can get to it on your phone, or there's a phone number also, which I don't know off the top of my head, but Access Wichita, and you can report anything on that site, and we'll take care of it.
And again, that's Access Wichita. I'm going to find the phone number.
Yeah.
Now, I know that you have regular mowing schedules. Is there a regular schedule of when they might do this, or do you just call and Access Wichita Home? I'll have that number in a second.
It is for if we have trash cans that are city, city trash cans, and the trash is there, we have a regular schedule for picking those up. But if it is some trash that's been dumped, we don't know where that is. So we need folks to report that so that we can then go out and pick it up.
Okay, so it's not immediately showing up on my phone.
What the phone number is, yeah.
Not yet, I will find it. But 316-491-5787, that's the number. Matt, you are back, and I'll let you ask your question. Go ahead, you are on the show. Matt, are you there? Well, hope you got an answer, Matt.
Maybe I answered his question.
Maybe you did. And with city trash cans, how often are those revamped or changed, or are they on a rotating schedule like all the maintenance issues that you would see with replacement parts for other areas of the city as well?
You mean if one gets damaged or something like that? Yeah, if we get a trash can that's damaged, and if it's irreparable, then we will replace that. Usually it's somebody's pulled out the liner and thrown it somewhere, and it's just a matter of either finding that liner or getting a new one, or doing some repair if it's if something's been they're usually bolted down if they've been pulled out of the bolts. So it's usually just repairing them.
Okay. We were talking earlier, and we saw some great video of the Evergreen Rec Center. And if you want to show the video again, that's fine. I love the video. 316-491-5787 is the number. You can find us on Facebook. If you're there, go ahead and send us your questions. But that was such a cool looking mural, and it's so vibrant and colorful. I've noticed at Murdoch, 8th and 9th Street, Murdoch, right under the overpass, yeah, I said that right. Looks like there's some stripes there.
Right.
So, Matt, we're going to take your question if you're there, and then I'll get back to that. Matt, you're on the show. What is your question?
Yeah, as far as the trash that gets underneath the bridge, and Mrs. Claycomb has done great getting it cleaned up underneath the Seneca Bridge. I really appreciate that, but the homeless are back. Is there any kind of barrier or fencing that we could put up to maybe keep them out, and then also collect trash from overflow in the river? Is there any kind of plan or ideas for barriers that we can keep these guys out of underneath the bridges?
Yeah, that's a good question. We've had that suggestion before, and we do have a couple of bridges along the river that actually do have fencing along them that keep people from going up inside of there. We don't necessarily have plans to do the whole river. In terms of cleanup, if you let us know, we can make sure that folks get out there, or like I said, our Public Works people. And if there are homeless there, our homeless outreach team is happy to come out and meet with those folks, see what their needs are, and see if they can't get them help.
Okay, great question, Matt. Thank you so much. 316-491-5787. 5787, and you can find us on Facebook. We'd love to take your questions there. And I know the mayor and a lot of other people at the city have worked very hard to get the homeless outreach team
Right.
going and get involved, and they've won some national awards. How active are they, not only in the summertime, but I know that they do some outreach in the winter, over the fall, and into the spring. They're very active,
Right.
of course, but they have won some awards nationally. Are they still out over those cooler months, or are they assigned to different
Yeah.
things? I don't know.
No,
I've never-
they're out there all the
All the time.
time. They work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and you might ask, well, why is that? Well, that's because that's when the other services are open. So when they're connecting people to services, they can take care of that. They take calls 24/7. So if you call, you can always leave a message, and they'll get back with you. Just within the last, I think month, 6 weeks, we've added a 4th officer on a temporary. So there's 3 homeless outreach team
Yes,
officers, and
yes.
just in the last month or 2, we've added a 4th officer to that group, because we think that's important, that we help people that in the time of need.
And there are a lot of things that these officers do as well. They can
Yeah.
find resources, they can do some intervention if that needs to happen,
Right,
because
absolutely.
as many of you know, some people who are living the homeless lifestyle, not all certainly, but some of those have some mental health issues, so they get some
Right.
help for them. Is
Yeah.
it, oh boy, I don't remember the homeless outreach team leader's name, but I didn't.
Officer Nate Sweetall.
Sweetall. I wanted to. Okay, I would have got it wrong, but thank you for that. I've talked to him before, and he says one of the biggest issues with homeless is just getting them connected with services
Right.
as well. So hope that answers your
Absolutely.
question. 316-491-5787 is the number to call. You can ask Cindy anything you want. Now, Cindy, you've got baseball in your district there. I guess part of that Delano district.
Yeah,
So
it connects to my district. It's actually in Jeff Blubaugh's district, because it's just across Douglas. But
so you're like a home run away
that's
from
right.
it, just literally.
That's right. But I do serve on the baseball oversight
Yes.
committee, and so I am pretty involved in the baseball stadium and the building of that. I'm not actually building it, but
Well, I think it'd be fun to get some city council members out there, maybe. All right, Walter, you are on the show. You have a question about baseball. Go ahead. Walter, you are on
Yes.
the show. Hi.
Yes, my question concerns the new baseball team that's coming to Wichita next spring, and I guess going to be playing ball at the new stadium they're building, which used to be Lois Lamont. But I was wondering about the selection of the new name for the team. I submitted a name about a month and a half to 2 months ago, and not had except for some of the names that's been submitted. And the question I have is when they're going to finalize the decision.
yeah,
It's a great question, Walter. It
that-
really is. Doodah, I'm kind of,
you're kind of partial to that one.
so far, yeah, I like that one. I don't know why I like that. It's not just because of the diner, but yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, so they've been introducing names about every 2 weeks, and the week of, I think it's November, it's the second week of November, they'll actually announce the name of the team. So they'll still, I think we've got 4 or 5 names out there, and so I think there's a couple more to be introduced, and then they'll actually give us the name that they have chosen in the middle of November.
Walter, if you're not plugged into social media, I know the City of Wichita has done a great job of
Yeah.
posting these names,
Yeah.
introducing them. We don't have a final name yet. I do have a name. I'll bring that up later in the show. We'll see. I just want to get your reaction
Okay.
to it, because I'm going to throw that in there. But no, we'll have that soon. So what is the buzz for you from the people, the 68,000 that you represent? What are people asking you about the baseball stadium most?
The things I guess they ask the most are things like this. The naming's probably the biggest thing that people are interested in right now, and I think that's the biggest question. I think that once the stadium gets a little bit further along, even though if you go look at it now, it looks like a baseball stadium, but as it gets a little bit further along and we start to have some pre-events there where people can come and look at it and see where they might want to sit if they want to buy tickets, or see how events will happen there. I think that there'll be more buzz then. So I expect that to happen in, a couple months probably.
I would assume that would be, look, this is designed as truly a multi-use stadium.
Yeah.
So we're talking about movies at night. We're talking
Right.
about maybe a football game
Yeah,
there, which I don't know
yeah.
how they squeeze that in, but that magically they'll make that
They
work.
they can, yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering how the 4th of July works. That could be a lot of fun
Yeah,
out there.
Absolutely,
Looking
yeah.
forward to
Just
that.
so many things that we can do there.
Many, many things. We have a question about Delano, which since you're in the Delano district, let's get to the next caller, 316-491-5787. You're on the show. You have a question about Delano and the railroad. You are on. Go ahead. What is your question?
Yes. Hi, I'm Becky,
Thank you, Becky.
and I live in Delano. I've been here for about 12 years, and I think within maybe the last 5 years or so, we had heard, I don't know if there were rumors or we got it, where we had heard that they were going to build a park where the railroad land was, and it was just going to go all the way kind of down, and have different areas and benches with a bike path, and so we were just wondering, because I thought I heard just the other day that you guys were trying to figure out what you were going to do with that land, and it's like the last thing Delano wants is another set of apartments coming up. And so I just letting you know, we're still really looking forward to that park we've been hearing about for several years.
Yeah. Well, so Becky, I have some good news and some bad news for you. No, so the park is still in the plan. The way that the park is being paid for is there is a development being developed by a company called EPC, and they are building apartments, and then right along beside those apartments will be a greenway, that park that you're talking about with benches and places for people to sit, people to walk, people to ride their bikes, and then that's how we're paying for that, is from that development, from the extra property taxes that come from that development.
And thank you, Becky, for the call. I appreciate that. And a lot of times these kind of public-private partnerships work well because there's development privately,
Right.
and public gets some space out of it. Now, I have not too long ago looked into Riverside, where there is going to be some new apartments or perhaps luxury apartments.
Right.
The developer's still working that out, but tell me
Yeah.
the general area. I know it's right up next to the river. It's a really
Right.
cool spot.
It
It's
is.
next to the golf course as well.
It is.
Talk to me about that space.
Yeah, so this is at 11th and Amadon, and there's a old building that it's being demolished right now. So if you go to 11th and Amadon, you can see that building coming down. And the developers have talked about several things to do there, but some sort of housing, I think, is what they've probably landed on. And it will, they had talked about townhouses, and then they've talked about apartments, they've talked about single-family houses. I think they just haven't decided. But the one nice thing about that is, again, because of this development, we were able to capture some new parkland. So we swapped some land and got a nice triangle park right in the corner of that development. And then as that development gets going, we'll actually have money from that development again to actually maintain the bike path, redo the bike path, and put lighting along it right there.
So there will be lighting along that area now
Yes.
based on the development that's coming in.
That's right.
So
Again, one of those public-private
Yeah.
partnerships.
very cool
Yes.
area, I know that's for sure. Look, 316-491-5787. Now, with the new apartments that are going to be coming in, let's talk about the apartments that are already there.
Okay.
We've got this whole area, the Riverfront Legacy Plan. There's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on the river right now, right? We've talked about baseball already. We're talking about the EPC apartments that are going just right next to the library, so right across from the river. River Vista is there, it's pretty well established with boats and bikes, which is really a fun area. If you haven't been down there and you want to get on the river, it's a great way to do that. You can go down, rent a boat, or rent. They actually we have a bike share station there, but also they rent these trikes that you stand on and kind of move your legs back and forth. And so anyway, they look very fun. And then the new Riverfront Legacy Plan that the Riverfront folks are working on, and that's for the East Bank, and that's looking at, okay, what should we do as we move forward with our convention center and our performing arts and the old library building, and how that ties into Water Walk. And so we're looking from Douglas to Kellogg, and then from the river to Maine, what should happen on that campus?
That is just such a prime spot.
Oh.
It's good to see it. You know, I had somebody talk to me. I went and did a story on the Save Century 2 movement. There's an interesting movement.
Yeah.
A lot of neat history coming out of that. I talked
Right.
to some of those folks, and they brought up the forum, the thing that was there
Yes.
before Century 2. And I
Yes.
talked to a guy who said he went to the forum and sold popcorn there as a youngster. But the Riverfront legacy, it just involves so much. Here are some thoughts from that. Let's listen to this.
Our river is in the heart of our region. It is an attraction for our local community and beyond. Starting in 2013, there have been multiple studies analyzing our convention and performing arts facilities. These studies reviewed the market potential for building new facilities or renovating current facilities, assessing the needs to serve the future of performing arts in our community, and developed preliminary building site plans for these different options. In 2018, Project Wichita, a community engagement effort to determine a regional vision and action plan, was initiated. After more than 240 focus groups and nearly 14,000 survey responses, it became clear that revitalizing the riverfront was a top priority for the region, especially to attract and retain a vibrant workforce. Project Wichita identified 3 necessities to achieve this priority: a unified plan for development in Wichita's urban core, a world-class performing arts facility, a state-of-the-art convention center, and a spectacular gathering place in the heart of the city. Concurrently, the Century 2 Citizens Advisory Committee provided a recommendation in 2019 to build a new performing arts facility after extensive review of the previous study of our current facility. In response to these recent recommendations and community priorities, a coalition has convened to take the next actionable step on riverfront development. 7 community-focused entities are working together to create a holistic plan for the riverfront development, named the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan. The plan will create a comprehensive master plan of development for the area of Kellogg to Douglas and Main Street to the east bank of the river, including the adjacent downtown area and neighborhoods. The plan will consider all elements together, including the Performing Arts Center, Convention Center, Century 2, former library, pedestrian bridge, water walk, and a riverfront gathering space. The plan will build upon the market-driven research from previous studies and will incorporate new developments such as the ballpark on the West Bank. Driven by community input and engagement, this plan will build upon Wichita's legacy of innovation, creativity, and regional attraction to create an inclusive riverfront for all. Share your thoughts and vision for the future of our riverfront by attending an upcoming engagement meeting, experiencing the space in an urban exploration, or sharing your thoughts at riverfrontlegacywichita.org. Discover how you can be involved in following the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan on Facebook and Twitter. One river, one vision, one master plan.
Okay, very well done video.
Those are some really cool shots of Wichita, weren't they?
Absolutely. That was spectacular.
I know.
Well done.
I know.
Okay, so let's unpack some of that here.
Yeah.
First of all, anybody who watches the show knows I'm a big fan of the pedestrian bridge going over the river.
Yeah.
So we know that could still happen. We don't know that that's going to happen. Wichita, secondly, is not sitting on its hands here. Obviously, Wichita is kind of charging forward with making this a viable city, more so than it already is, to bring in millennials and bring in people that want to live, work, and play here.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's happening with that space. You're still listening.
Right, and so we had, I say, because the City of Wichita is one of the partners in that.
One of the partners,
That's
yes, and
right.
there are so many,
Yeah.
as you saw.
And so this week there were 4 engagement activities. They gave tours along the river and then talked about the performing arts and talked about the convention center and people. We had so I attended 3 of the 4. I wasn't able to make one of them, and listened to people, and gosh, so many ideas that people have, just so many ideas, and that was great. And I think people really got a real sense of, in these tours, what's possible and what's not possible in these buildings as they exist today. And so that was really good to hear from those folks. And then I think what was really great is that we walked out on the river and looked at the river itself and kind of how it's right now cut off from the downtown. And it was pretty evident to people about how that is. So it was really fun. If you didn't make any one of those, you can go out to the Riverfront Legacy Wichita.org and send your comments in. And they are looking at all of those comments.
Okay, and if you want to go old school, you can always call City Hall and ask for Cindy.
That's right, absolutely.
I know that you guys have voicemail, and I know you respond to it
I
because
do,
I've
absolutely.
called before. So we have another caller, 316-491-5787. This caller is going to shift gears perhaps.
Okay.
Let's see if we have an answer for this. Robert, you are on the show. What is your question?
Okay, I was falsely accused of a domestic violence and convicted without a trial, and now I can't have a gun. You guys made a law where people couldn't have certain dogs, so I can't have guard dogs. Okay, so I can't have a gun, I can't have guard dogs. What am I supposed to do to protect myself in your beautiful city?
Thank you for the call, Robert. I think the answer could be in multiple parts here. We can talk about law enforcement. We can talk about the court system. I know there are a lot of things that could be looked into here.
Right, there are, certainly there are. I think this is a case where probably need to call the office and get more information and figure out how we might help and what the situation is. This sounds like something that's maybe a little, not everyone would face this particular situation.
It does sound pretty involved.
Yes,
It does
it
indeed.
does.
So yeah, go ahead and give a call. And like I said, law enforcement could get involved to answer some of your questions. And you say guard dog. I know there are a lot of options there too, because
Right.
some dogs are not allowed in certain areas. But see if we can find you an answer to that. Call City Hall, 316-491-5787. We've never had a call like that before, but we get all kinds of calls here for sure. I did want to talk again a little bit about this Riverfront Legacy Master Plan. I had another thought here that I wanted to transition to. The question that a lot of people have been asking, I found, is do we save Century 2? Do we not save Century 2? There is the Save Century 2 movement. It's a small group of people, but they're bringing up a lot of historical questions. Where do we stand on that? How do you answer the questions of,
Right.
hey, we're just going to tear down Century 2, or, oh, they're going to save Century 2 and dump a bunch of money into it? So there's questions on both sides.
There are.
But again, we don't have those answers yet.
That's right, we don't. And so that's the purpose of this, the Riverfront Legacy, to look at what are people talking about. So that's why we're gathering all this information, because I don't think you want Cindy Claycomb just making that decision, right? I need to listen to people and figure out what is it that the community wants. And so we're gathering all of this input, and then we'll have the people that are analyzing that data provide us with that. And that's one of the reasons I went to 3 of the 4 sessions, because I wanted to hear what people were saying.
Yeah, there are so many things that people are throwing out there.
Right.
Again, for people that know me, pedestrian bridge, that's my
Yeah.
thing. I want
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a kind of a rainbow colored too. So we'll see what I'd ask you.
Something iconic, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my thinking, well, Wichita flag colors. It's just love the flag. And that's one of the cool things about Wichita. It's got some swagger right now. People
Yeah.
are proud to be from
Yeah.
here. So it's
Yeah.
fun to watch this development and see the evolution of Wichita as it continues to march forward. So many things happening downtown as well.
Yeah.
316-491-5787 is the number. We do have another caller, has a question about, well, kayaking, I guess, but maybe some other things. Go ahead, you're on the show. What's your question?
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for having a program like this. More people watch it than you realize. But as kids, growing up years ago over by Maple and the Big Ditch, just like Jeff Longwell, the mayor, he and his brothers and sisters, all of us went to the Big Ditch, went swimming, with our lunch and firecrackers and bicycles and brothers and sisters. We had a ton of fun. Nowadays, if you were to go, let's say, drop an inner tube in at Central and go fishing with a cooler of beer down to Maple, would you be arrested for fishing or kayaking on the Big Ditch anywhere from our north to south? Yeah. Fishing, yeah.
Sounds
Canoeing.
like you've enjoyed the Big Ditch before, so good for you. I'll jump off here and I'll let you take it from here. But Army Corps of Engineers has cracked down. This is a federal issue. It's not a city issue per se. It's not a county issue per se. You are not supposed to be recreating in the Big Ditch. That's not the purpose for it. And the Army Corps of Engineers has simply cracked down and have asked local authorities to keep track and to go by from time to time. So
Yeah.
You could be arrested.
Yeah.
It's possible. And again, that's kind of a federal crackdown, asking the local law enforcement, not just city, but county
Right,
as well,
that's right.
to keep track of it. And I did talk to a highway patrolman once who said that he was about to arrest someone who was going into the big ditch because he knew the rules on the big ditch, because somebody had dropped this was when it was very fast moving water, they dropped their car into the big ditch.
Oh.
And bear with me here.
Okay.
It looked like an old school Mustang, powder blue, and it was called an amphicar.
Oh, yeah.
And it was made to drive into the water, and then seals come up around the door, and it has little fins on the back.
Yeah.
And so you know what I'm talking about.
I do. Yes, I
He
do.
was going to drop his amphicar in there, and the highway patrolman said, "Oh no, you
No,
don't,
no.
because that's federal land. You're not supposed to go in there. There
Yeah.
are signs posted." So you know the amphicar. I'm impressed.
Yes, my brother-in-law owns one. So
Wow.
I've
You know
actually ridden in one in a lake, not in the big ditch.
Yeah,
in the
they're
lake.
fine for the lake, but
Yes.
it's kind of scary, if I can explain for you, because the water comes right up
Right.
to the
It
doors, and it's a
does.
little frightening.
It
Did you have a
does.
white knuckle moment when
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, white knuckle moments when you go out to dry the brakes off on the highway. Not the highway, but on the road.
Not on the highway. That's
Not
a
on the
good-
highway.
Wow. Okay, I just grew a new appreciation for you now. You know what an amphicar is.
That's right.
For those of you who don't know the amphicar, Google it. You'll know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah, they're
about.
pretty cool.
Has one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm going to stop being amazed now and get back to your questions. 316-491-5787. That is the number to call here. Cindy Claycomb with District 6. Tell me, what about District 6 that you like? What do you appreciate about the people there, and what would you like to see change right now?
So I think that the best thing about District 6 is just the diversity of neighborhoods that we have. So if you listen to my description of where the district stretches, so I have downtown, Old Town, Riverside, North Riverside, Benjamin Hills, Indian Hills, the North End. I pick up North End, Riverview, and then like I said, the neighborhoods out by the zoo. And so when you think about that, it's just such a diverse district in terms of socioeconomics, in terms of the kinds of neighborhoods that we have. So that's I think is the thing I love the best about this district. And so then meeting just the variety of people that I get to meet that live in those neighborhoods. And then your other question was, what would I like to see change?
Sure. What would you like to add, subtract? I don't know.
Yeah, so one of the projects that we're working on is the revitalization of the Evergreen Neighborhood Center. And so I'm really excited about that. If you've been to the Neighborhood Center, it's pretty kind of tired and worn out. And so we were able to take, this is my predecessor, but she dedicated the $1 million from the sale of the Hyatt that came to District 6 to the renovation of the Neighborhood Center. And it looks like we're probably going to move the Neighborhood Center in and co-locate with the Evergreen Library. And so I'm just really excited about creating this resource hub in the neighborhood and in the district.
Does that give us a chance to show the Evergreen Rec
Yeah,
Center again?
yeah, we should.
Show the mural one
We
more
should.
time. 316. Go ahead and show it if you want. 316-491-5787. That's the number. You can ask anything you want about District 6 or some other areas if you'd like as well. Again, with Wichita and the Evergreen Rec Center, I'll get back to this. When I was on 8th, 9th Street, Murdoch, when you get right up to the overpass, there are some swirls of color. It looks like it's professionally painted.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that is or who did it.
So that's in District 1, so in Brandon Johnson's district.
Yes.
And that was the renovation and reconstruction of 9th Street. And it was part of that, and they were able to get the Kansas Department of Transportation to allow them to do that painting under the under 135, I think is what it is.
It's
there.
the big pillars
the
that
big pillars.
that hold up the overpass,
Right,
and it
and
really looks
It does. And then if you
nice.
go on, if you drive on east of there, there is so much just cool art that has gone into that. And we dedicated that space, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And so there's just art all the way along there from under the overpass all the way to Hillside. So I really encourage people to go and look at it. It's fabulous. And what was really cool about that project is that Ella Bacchus, who is the artist consultant on that and the artist, she engaged school children to help figure out what the art should be. And so it's you can see that when you go and look at it. It's
kids
just-
have better ideas than we do.
Oh,
I love
yeah,
that. I love
yeah.
everything about that. So if you get the chance, you could start at what right at the overpass,
Yeah, right
and then
at
just drive east from there.
To Hillside.
is it 8th and 9th Street, or is it Murdoch at that point?
I think it's 8th and 9th Street
8th and
at
9th
that
It
point.
goes
Yes.
to the east, yeah.
Yes.
There's also a good place to eat over there. Very
Yeah,
good.
that's right.
Not far from my workplace. The other question is, too, how do we get more artwork into the city? If you're an artist, call 316-491-5787. That's the number. Catch us on Facebook as well. But there's been such a big movement of art and artistry here
Right.
in town. I'm not just talking about the museum, which is great, by the way. And they
Right.
just got a grant to restore
Yeah.
some of the works. Fantastic work getting a grant. Good job there.
Right.
It's like $70,000 to
something.
help restore and keep some of that. But has there been any talk about bringing outside thoughts in, or maybe some of that? Is there
Sure.
some of that involved with the ballpark too? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, we have, if you look at our projects, like 9th Street, there was an art component to that. So we have a group called the Design Council, which is a group of volunteers that are chosen to serve on this. You get a lot of some architects, some designers, some artists on the Design Council, and they look at our capital improvement projects for the year, and they identify which ones they believe deserve art improvement to them. And so then they decide, they make a recommendation of how much should be spent in that budget for that particular project. And so that's been our method of doing that for a few years. We are actually right now looking at, is there a way to better make that a real process, and that's really codified. And so we're looking at that, and we're looking at, should we create an ordinance that says there is some percent for art in all projects that deserve it, and not rely on the Design Council to really have to figure this out as they go forward. And then you asked about the ballpark. So
Yes.
as part of the
Design
ballpark design, there is an art component to that, and we've dedicated a pretty good chunk of money to that. So I think when people come in, they'll be pleasantly surprised with the aesthetics and the art that really fit with the theme of the ballpark.
Okay. Well, speaking of baseball,
Yeah.
Mark, if you're there, you're on the show. What is your question, Mark?
Well, it's not so much a question as it is a comment, but it's regarding the status of the semi-professional baseball team, or the Marlins affiliate team that's going to be in Wichita, and it's more around the mascot and the logo and what's been proposed, and what I've seen so far. I've not been excited about the names that have been proposed, but recently on Facebook, so I think last Monday I saw a local graphic design artist in Wichita. I actually did some of the work for Walnut River Brewing Company on some of their beer can logos. Has proposed a mascot and logo name of the Wichita Warbird, and just some of the designs that he's proposed for the logo just blew me away. And warbirds being synonymous with Wichita aviation and the history of Wichita, building military aircraft. It's also a fairly aggressive name. And the logo the mascot, the logo he had proposed is really cool looking. And so I didn't know what the status was in terms of what's still available in terms of proposing names and mascots, but just wanted to bring that up, and because I was really impressed with what I saw.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate the call, and send it in. You just email.
That's right.
That sounds wonderful. Wichita has such a rich tradition in aviation. It seems like, dating back before World War II, it seems like something aviation would make sense, and that's not actually my idea. I will get to that before the show. But there's just so much going on. I know that Textron just had Cessna Citation, the Longitude, just got certification.
That's right.
That's got to be really good news for Wichita.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I understand they have they have an order for up to 175 of those planes.
Yeah.
That's going to employ a lot of people. They're going to build it on the Beach Field campus, which is the East Campus, where Beach has been. That's got to be good news.
Yeah, that's absolutely good news. Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Yeah.
So when it comes to baseball, if you have a question about that or anything else, 316-491-5787. Facebook, we'd love to get your thoughts on Facebook as well. I did want to ask about one more thing about the dog park. When it comes to that, how many dog parks do you know how many we have in Wichita right now? Because I know we have several, and I thought the video said 1 of 5. I could be wrong. But
Yeah.
when it comes to dog parks, maintenance, things like that, do we ever get people stepping in to volunteer to help with some of those? Because I know there's some
Yes.
maintenance and budget things involved, but
Right.
it's the Spirit of Wichita. I just gave away my name. I knew I was going to say it before the Spirit of Wichita. That's my name for the
Now we
baseball
know.
team. All right, fine. I'll get to that in a second. But do we have volunteers that come in?
Yes, we do. And the park department who run our dog parks, the city's dog parks, and so they work with volunteers on various things. I do want to put a plug in for we have a new dog park opening this Saturday.
Yes, that's this. Is it this? It is this weekend.
This Saturday. It's in District 2 at the Harrison Dog Park is where Harrison Park, and there'll be a new dog
Well, I guess
park there.
Harrison Dog
I
Park.
think people have already been kind of checking it out, but the official ribbon cutting is not just people, but their dogs have been checking it out, and it's this Saturday.
Wonderful news. Great to hear. And again, this thing looks much bigger.
Yeah, it
than
does. That's
the
a
times that I've been by. And I always think of it as Meridian, but now
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Rooster, again, a great story there. So,
No kidding.
I mean, those dogs are so valuable.
They are.
And the handlers really bond with them. So I know it's hard on everybody involved
Yes.
when somebody like Rooster is no longer here.
Yeah.
The number here is 316-491-5787. You can ask any question that you want. One other question, too, when it comes to kayaking on the river, people still kayak on the river. And I wanted to
Right.
delineate there. That is still okay.
That is okay.
Unless the city says the water's moving too fast.
Right.
We can't do that. And I know during Riverfest,
Absolutely.
a lot of people were kind of sore
Yeah.
about this.
Yeah.
So- but, you know, I went and talked to the guy, and I'm sorry I don't remember your name. I know you're with Army Corps. He dropped a device in the water and measured the speed of the water,
Yeah.
and it was too much. But people still do kayak and still fish along the river.
They do.
What do we do with the riverbanks? Are there some cleanups involved in springtime, or is any of that done over the winter, or is that just mostly in the springtime?
Yeah. So the city, we actually have a boom over in Riverside Park that catches trash. It's up by the tennis courts over in Riverside
Oh,
Park.
yes.
So
We've
that
all
catch-
driven by it,
Yeah.
Mid-America All Indian Center.
Right,
It's right
absolutely.
off that spot.
So it catches
and it's
trash.
orange, I think, is
big
the-
orange, right?
okay.
So the Public Works goes out and they'll clean that out occasionally. They have a system for doing that. The other things that in the spring before River Festival, there is a big cleanup, citywide cleanup. All volunteers come down and they spend a couple of hours and clean up the river. And then there are various groups that will do volunteer cleanups on an ad hoc basis, and then there are some groups that every Saturday they are out there cleaning up the river. So I live pretty close to there, and so I'll
Yes.
walk along the river, and I thank people for cleaning it. But you'll see various groups out there cleaning it up.
Okay, here's my plug. That's the Spirit of Wichita.
That's the Spirit of Wichita. That's right.
Somebody pick up on that and call it, please. 316-491-5787. That's your number. Tammy, you are on the show. You have a question. What would you like to ask?
I would like to know what is the best way to get in touch with everything going on in Wichita, just all at the same time.
City's a good resource. I mean, I know you
Yeah.
can start there.
Yeah.
Wichita website has so many different things posted. I know there's so many different events. I don't know if you're plugged into social media, but Wichita is always talking about things on Twitter, what's coming up.
Right.
And there are a lot of different places to go. There's so many different things. For you in your district, I know Delano has its own ideas that they post out there.
Right.
And I know this fall they're going to have another get-together. There are just so many ways to answer that question.
Right, there are. I think that's a great idea, though. Social media is really, if you follow City of Wichita and you follow the neighborhoods that you're interested in, if you follow downtown Wichita, you can catch all of those things. And so I think that's a really good way. As you said, our website has things on it. Just kind of depends on, I don't think there's one place that has everything, but there are places that have a lot of things. Visit Wichita runs a calendar, a community calendar that has things on it. So I wish there were one place. We've talked about that in the past, but it's really hard to capture all of that in one place.
You know, it can be a struggle because there's so many
Yeah.
things out there now,
Yeah.
so many people doing different things.
Right.
If you go to Wichita, the website, or follow on social media, just follow the links. I know that takes extra time, but there are just so many cool things happening out there. I'll give you another example. There's a link to a link. I played 6 degrees of separation, or I call
That's right.
it clickeration. I kept kind of swiping through, and there's an event going on this weekend that some people from Wichita are going to in Arc City, where apparently race cars can go 200 miles an hour
Wow.
in an eighth of a mile.
Wow.
So that's
See
happening
there?
this weekend.
Just about anything you
In our
want to do,
city.
right?
Pretty much. 316-491-5787 is the number. There is another issue that I'd like to ask you about when it comes to funding sources. I know the city has taken money from the Hyatt. Now, this was before your time when they started handing that out. But the city has taken money from the sale of the Hyatt, and they've started using that in different districts.
Right.
That was a question that was sent to me. Somebody wanted to know, and they emailed that to me earlier, and they wanted to know, where else is the Hyatt money going? Do we still have some of that money out there?
Yeah.
And I do know that some of it is still being used.
Right. So that was before I was on council, but I do know how it was spent. So 10 million of it went into roads. And as I said earlier, people talk about roads a lot. So we took 10 million of the sale of the Hyatt. It was $20 million sale. 10 million went into roads, additional to what we do normally. 4 million of it went to transit to help stabilize public transit and to let them run some experiments to see what would work in terms of having a more robust transit system. And I think they still have a little bit of that money left, but I think they're in the last year of that. And then each district, so each council member could determine how money was spent in their district. And so each district did different things. Like I said, my predecessor, and I'm supportive of this, to redo the Evergreen Neighborhood Center, but each district used it in a different way. Some of them spread it out across many projects, some did one big project. It just depended on that particular district.
Very good. All right, 316-491-5787 is the number. Randy, you're on the show. What is your question? No. Okay, Randy, you're on the show. If you're there, what is your question?
Well, I've just started watching the show just a little bit ago, and I don't know if my question will be answered, but I'm curious about water main replacements in the whole square mile or so southeast of Pawnee and Broadway. They've been replacing water mains on every block, except my street, my block. And we have the oldest block in this whole area. Our
Randy,
houses were built.
Is that District 3?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And our houses were built in 1941. I've complained to the city. I've owned my house for 20 plus years. I've complained to the city over the years because my driveway at the street level has been sinking. And I know this water main is probably so old it's got more pinholes in it than a pincushion, but they just send out an old man from the water department and he puts his ear to a stick and says, "Oh, there's nothing leaking on this block," and he leaves. And they've done that many years, and I don't find that that's a proper way to check for a water leak on a water main. But also, I've stopped and asked these crews that are doing the replacement work, and they can't tell me whether our street's ever scheduled to have our water main replaced or not. And I don't know if you'll be able to answer that question.
Randy, appreciate the call. Thank you. Well, what are your thoughts?
Well, I can't answer that on the air because I don't know that particular street if it's
That's
getting
fine.
into moderate rain. But if you would call the office, and I'll make sure, the city council office will make sure that we get in touch with Councilmember Clendenin and figure that out.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. I do know that Wichita has been replacing a lot of water
Yeah.
mains. Randy, you're right. I know
Yes.
that it did one just basically over the river. If you're at Cowtown and you go straight south over the river, that was one of the main lines that
was.
feeds the entire system. So they got
Yeah.
that taken care of this summer. It shut down part of that area for a while, and I
Yeah.
know people driving through for River Festival,
Yeah.
but they got it done.
They got it before River Festival,
So they
yes.
did. They got it done in time.
Yeah.
Interesting question, Randy. Yeah, go ahead and connect in District 3. I think they could probably get you some answers there.
Absolutely.
I do know that they go out and have a very specific regiment of what they look at next. So there is a rotation. See if you're on it. If not, give them a phone call, and they will hopefully have some answers for you. Another question. 316-491-5787. It is Call the Mayor of Wichita. Today it's Call Cindy Claycomb because she's with District 6. When it comes to the whole area of development, I know that Delano's had a lot of development. They've had a lot of questions about the ballpark. And one of those questions that's come up time and again is the city listening when it comes to different neighborhoods around that area? And I think mostly it's going to be the Delano district.
Right.
but traffic has been brought up quite a few times. Are there still some ongoing thoughts? Are there still any ongoing meetings with the city where you can have a say in that? I don't know.
Yeah, you know, you're right. The Delano neighborhood has been really involved in what's going on around the ballpark, and so we've had many meetings with them. There's a Delano neighborhood plan that the City Council just adopted, and then the County Commission adopted that after us, and that is talking about the development of that and short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans for helping in the Delano neighborhood. And so we've been out, the baseball team and City Council and County Commission, we've gone out and met with the Delano neighborhood on various occasions. I attend the neighborhood meetings and in Delano. So there's a lot of opportunities for folks to engage with us and give feedback on things. And I think we've been pretty responsive to that, to the feedback that we're getting.
Boy, my question is, when do you sleep? You city council members, you work during the day, and then you go to all these meetings. You're here tonight. You go to all these meetings. It seems like a lot.
Yeah, it is. You know, I have 15 neighborhood associations in my district, and I can't make all their meetings, but I try to get at least out twice a year to every neighborhood, so that I get to hear. I really like to go into the neighborhoods, because then you really get to talk to people and figure out what's going on in your neighborhood and what are your needs, and how might I help, because I represent those people.
316-491-5787. That is the number. We still got some time here if you want to call into the show and ask a question. On the other side of Wichita, well, I'll say other side, from east to west, from north to south, it's a very diverse group.
Yeah.
So when it comes to what comes next for Wichita, what's one big area that you would like to see pushed? I know we're getting baseball.
Right.
I know we're going to do something with the Riverfront Legacy Master Plan. Is Wichita targeting any businesses to try and bring into any specific areas, or does that ongoing effort just envelop all of Wichita? What would be a good fit?
Yeah. The Greater Wichita Partnership, which is the economic development arm of that operates in the city, they have some specific industries that they target, and aviation, of course, is one of those. But there's several others that they target in terms of businesses that might like to come here. So I think that's an ongoing thing that they're working on. I think some of the things I'd like to see are really finding out what the needs are in particular neighborhoods. We just finished a plan called Places for People, and it's an urban infill plan. And so next year in the budget is $400,000 to look at the implementation of parts of that plan and figuring out what makes sense for Wichita. And so I think that's one of the things I'd like to see. I like to see that urban infill, and how do we already have infrastructure here, and so if we've got places that can benefit from infill, where is that and what would that be?
Good to know that there's some study going into it before we take action.
Yeah.
All right, 316-491-5787. We have another caller, Dana. You're on the show. What is your question, Dana?
Hi, I live in Riverside, and I've lived in this area all my life, and I was wondering if there's any way to look at the 21st and McLean area and maybe do something with the Twin Lakes area where the lake is, because you can go and it's kind of been empty for so long. Shops in and out, but not completely full. And I grew up loving to go there. And you can go and watch the eagles along one side, but it just seems to be a place to put little food places out front, and then they don't do anything with the building. I just wish that somebody in their long-term planning could come up with something, because on the other side you got Sweetbriar, which is the same thing, and then you got on the other side of the street, you've got that same thing, shopping mall half empty. And I wish we could somehow think of a way to put all together and make an open space for people to meet, and I don't know, maybe a little park, I don't know.
Oh, Dana.
I don't have any ideas, but that's mine.
If you have ideas, get a hold of her. Great question. So many people grew up loving that area, and so many people now love to go watch the eagles, because there are eagles out there, and it's kind of fun to go see. So it's that age-old question now. How do you get private development to come in, or would the city consider a park there? You'd have to get input from the people in your district, but what are your thoughts?
Right, we would. And so it is private property, and so what the people that own that, they get to decide what goes in there as long as it's within zoning codes. Would we consider a park? If someone wanted to donate the land, the city would certainly consider a park. We generally don't have the resources right now to buy park land, but if someone wanted to consider that, absolutely, we would consider that.
And a lot of people have some very, very fond memories of that place,
Yeah.
especially at Christmas time with the decorations
Yeah.
that would always go.
Yeah.
We have time for a couple more callers, 316-491-5787. Sue, you are on the show now. What is your question for Cindy? Go ahead, Sue.
Oh, okay. I got my TV turned down, so I didn't hear it.
Thank you.
I would like to know how come the ordinance for signs in the city easement is not enforced. I'm talking garage sale signs,
Yeah.
roofer signs. We buy and sell cars, or
Right.
you can't tell where the construction signs are, which is every other street in town. Trying to get improvements done, you cannot follow those signs because everybody else has their little trashy signs out there.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Sue. That's a good question.
It
What's your
is.
response here?
We do enforce that. We have a volunteer group that does the enforcement on that. So if you want to volunteer to help collect those yard signs and all those signs that you described, we can certainly, if you call the city council office, we can get you involved in that. But there is a volunteer group. There is someone from the city that's in charge of that. I've actually been over to the old Rounds and Porter building across from City Hall, and we have I call it a cage, and it is full of signs that these volunteers have picked up and brought to the city because they are illegal, as Sue said.
Yeah, and that is enforced, actually.
That's right. It is enforced.
It's important that you noted it's not just the people that are doing this. There is somebody that oversees it.
That's right.
So.
That's right. Yeah, you can't.
Okay.
They get training and all of that, so it's controlled.
Well, 316-491-5787. If you didn't get a chance to call, I think we're about 2 minutes left in the show. I've got two questions for you, and I just wanted to give you some time to kind of answer these and just tell us a little bit more. But for you, when people get into politics, it's a choice. It's very rarely when somebody stumbles into politics and they say, I'm going to do this, and then they start doing this. More times than not, people are ambitious. They want to do things. They want to change things. A lot of different. Why did you get involved with this?
Right. If people that don't know my history, my last gig was at Wichita State University, and I worked there for 25 years. And the last 3 years I was on phased retirement, and so I worked part-time. And when I went on that, a few people started asking me if I would run for city council, and my first response was no. Why would I do that? I'm retiring. But then as I got to thinking about it and kind of studying what was going on and thinking about what I thought was important for our district and how I might serve the people of our district, I decided I would explore that and got lots of encouragement from folks to run. So that's how I got into this.
So you're a Shocker fan is what you're saying.
I am a Shocker fan.
I'm kidding. I've seen her office. It's loaded up with Wichita cool stuff, Shocker cool stuff. So very nice. Oh, do you go to the basketball game?
I go occasionally, I do, but I really keep up on them. I listen to them on the radio and watch them on TV and go to the games.
Okay, so do you, we've got about a minute left here, well, less than a minute. Do you have a name that you would like to throw out for the baseball stadium?
No,
No.
I really don't. I'll be happy, I think, with whatever we call it. I'm not one of those people that gets real hung up on the name, so whatever it is, I'll stand behind it.
People seem to be excited about
Yeah.
the name. I think it's a great marketing job to
Yeah,
get people
I think
interested and
so.
excited about the team. April of next year, I believe,
right.
so we're getting closer. One more thing, Spirit of Wichita. Is it stupid or is it okay?
I think it's okay.
You like
I think
it?
I like it. Yeah.
My idea is wings and maybe the flag. You've already got the wings there.
Yeah.
This could be on the front of the plane. If I'm nuts, send us a message on Facebook. One other thing, we got about 15 seconds here. What is the one thing that you tell people about Wichita when you travel?
When I travel, I tell people that this is the greatest place to live. It really is. It is a very comfortable place. The people are friendly, and there is always something to do here.
True.
So
Thank you so much for
Thank
being here.
you.
Loved
Thank you.
having you on the show. Join us next time. Call the Mayor of Wichita. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again.